Welcome back to the Demonautica channel, your portal into the paranormal, and welcome to a bit of a different kind of video. Today, I just wanted to sit down and discuss a really interesting case that we ended up putting together after our Colorado Prison Museum investigation. I've just been really stuck on all of these different cases and different people and victims that are tied to them. This location is just really sticking with me, and I have really wanted to do a bit of a deep dive into the research of this, and there were so many names that we got, and I wanted to research and see if those pertain to anything, and this is my findings. And while these might be purely coincidence, some of them seem a little bit too accurate to be. But of course, I will let you decide that for yourself. I just wanted to share it with you guys. Take everything with a grain of salt. This could just be purely coincidence, but here's what I found when I did a bit more research. Also, it helps to do a sit down talk video because I have new fangs and I have a little bit of a lisp with them. I'm sorry, but it helps to sit down and talk and really try to enunciate my words. But jokes aside, we are going to be talking about some really tragic and sensitive events in this video. So if that's something that you are not comfortable with, please click away, go watch a different video, even if it's not mine. Just wanted to put that out there first because these are some really brutal cases. We are first going to discuss the brutal torture and murder of Alice Porter. Alice Porter was a 16 or 17-year-old high school student who was also going to a nursing program at her school. I say 16 or 17 because some sources say 17, but her findagrave.com page says 16, so that's what I'm going to go with. On April 23rd, 1942, Alice would go over to her friend Margaret Driscoll's. She would hang out there for a while, and they would start to see the clouds in the sky get dark, and it was looking like it was about to rain and get stormy outside. Margaret insisted that Alice stay for a while and wait for the storm to pass over, but Alice decided that she would try to beat the storm and walk home right then. A couple blocks down, Mr. Ward Lennon was in his lounge reading when he heard a blood-curdling scream. He claims to have seen a tan sedan going around the corner. Now, Alice had left Margaret's house about 9:30 p.m., and so when it got to be about 11:15 p.m., her parents started to worry that she wasn't home yet. And so at this time, her father, Marvin Porter, would put on his coat, get his pistol, and go out to look for her. In the search, he decided to retrace her steps and go to Margaret's house. Margaret explained something really chilling to him, which is that the tan sedan that the neighbors spotted had been following Margaret and Alice for weeks. Marvin, being the worried father, he took this information to the police. The police set up roadblocks on the highway, and they began stopping every single tan sedan that they saw. Mr. Porter himself worked on a lot of cases as an investigator. He had just been working on the murder of Dorothy Drain. This is going to be really important later. But when he was working on this case, he received a strange letter in the mail. This letter basically explained that this person was going to do the same exact thing he did to Dorothy to his daughter Alice. Chief Arthur Grady sent a bunch of detectives to investigate with nothing to come back with, until suspects started to come in. One was a salesman who was trying to speed away from highway patrol. When they stopped him, his clothes were torn and disheveled. When they investigated further and looked in the back seat of his vehicle, they ended up finding 2 hair clips and a handkerchief. The suspect swore that those belonged to a girlfriend. Grady then obtained a list of every single tan sedan registered in Pueblo, Colorado. A vigilante mob ended up seizing a cat burglar thinking he was the suspect. And it is said that he was half hung before patrol ended up coming in and getting him down. When questioned, he was able to prove an alibi. We are now 3 days into the investigation when Sheriff Murphy makes a call from a garage 25 miles out. He claims that someone might have seen the kidnapper's car in the garage. Garageman Les Johnson claims that a young man came to the garage around 4 a.m. the night of the kidnapping. The man had gotten his car stuck in the mud on a dirt road and needed a tow. He had gone to a farmer in the middle of the night, woke them up, and asked if he could call for a tow truck. But because the car was so covered in mud, they weren't sure if the vehicle was actually tan or if the color was just from all of the mud. The road that the driver got stuck on only leads in one direction to a deserted farmhouse. He also gave a description of the driver as being tall, slightly built, but slender, with steel-rimmed glasses. He then proceeded to lead Sheriff Grady and Murphy to the place where the car got stuck. Only having one direction to go, they quickly made it to the abandoned farmhouse. When they got to the ranch, they noticed an oil slick that was from a car sitting there for a while fairly recently. They drew their weapons and slowly entered into the one-room, dirt-floored, broken furniture scattered ranch house. Grady, while looking around with his flashlight, ended up noticing a table that had dried pools of blood. Scattered around, they also found scissors, baling wire, a blood-stained shoemaker's awl, a charred woman's dress in the fireplace, a blackened pocketbook frame, metal makeup holder, and most disturbingly, pieces of human flesh. After these discoveries, they knew they'd be finding Alice's body nearby. They ended up finding the body of Alice Porter in an old-fashioned cistern with a wood cover by the door. When they found her, she was nude and her body was severely mutilated. At the mortuary is when they really started to piece together what this poor girl endured. She was stripped down and bound to the table in wire. It was confirmed that she had multiple times during this torture. The wire was placed into the fireplace and punctured into her skin. She had 22 deep wounds from the shoemaker's awl on her torso. She had obscene symbols branded onto her while she was bleeding out from the wounds. She was hacked with scissors and knife. Eventually, the killer smashed her head and shot her twice in the temple. This made the community furious, and angry mobs and police went on a wild manhunt. Of course, it was also now noted that the car could have just been covered in mud and not necessarily that it was tan. At this point, there are now 70 detectives on this case. Detective Poblon went to Boyd Whaley's garage for questioning. Mr. Whaley said there was currently a car in the garage that was covered in mud and that the person who dropped it off would be back to pick it up around 6 p.m. that evening. The car was a gray Ford sedan that had the murderer's fingerprints all over it. They strategically placed up a trap. They had all the policemen and detectives hiding throughout the garage so that when the murderer made his entrance, he couldn't then escape. At 6:15 p.m., they start to worry that he's not there. He's late. Could he have ran away, really tried to make an escape, or is he just fashionably late? At 6:20 p.m., a thin man came in, and he was surrounded and detained by the detectives, who then took him to their headquarters. During questioning, he gave his name, Donald H. Fern, and he was 26 years old. He then proceeded to tell his story proudly. He had been stalking Alice and Margaret night after night, rehearsing and planning exactly what he was going to do to her. He said that since he was a young boy, he had dark fantasies about torturing a girl. After all of this rehearsal, he decided that the perfect night to take all of these terrible things into action would be the same night that his wife was at the hospital giving birth to their second child. I'm heated, and you should be too. He describes how he held Alice at gunpoint and flung her into the car when she tried to scream, that very scream that the neighbor heard previously. After speeding away with her and taking her to the abandoned ranch house, she endured 6 hours of brutal torture. While describing 6 hours of torture with a smile on his face, he says that he didn't want to kill her, but he didn't want to be identified. After questioning, Fern is then taken to Canon City Penitentiary. Sound familiar? On October 23rd, 1942, this monster was executed by gas chamber. Yes, the same gas chamber that's at the Museum of Colorado Prisons that we investigated. Another interesting thing that I found with my research is that apparently Donald Fern, he had this wild obsession with a culty organization called Los Hermanos Penitentes. This self-proclaimed Catholic brotherhood performs self-flagellations, self-whippings, I guess is what that is, and mock crucifixions. In some of these mock crucifixions, people walk with crosses on their backs, and in some cases, they end up sacrificing some of their own people. Although I don't know much about this brotherhood, I apologize if I'm getting any of these facts wrong. These are just the things that I found from the one that Donald Fern was a part of. Not only would they whip themselves, they would cut symbols into themselves. Symbols kind of like the ones that were branded into Alice. Fern also describes how he was fleeing the scene of the ranch house, and since it was super muddy and raining, he was on a dirt road and in a sedan. He got his car stuck in the mud, and he walked in the mud, this is important, to a nearby farmhouse and called for a tow truck. There's a lot of things about rain and mud and names. Just keep every little detail of this in your mind. I promise it's going to make sense. It at least makes sense to me. Something that I find absolutely disturbing and disgusting about this case is that Alice was tortured for 6 hours. Her death lasted 6 hours. And in the gas chamber for execution, Donald's death only lasted 3 minutes. 6 hours, 3 minutes. I know this is going to seem all over the place, but we are now going to talk about a man named Joe Arity. So you remember how Marvin Porter, Alice Porter's father, was talking about a case that he had been recently working on, the Dorothy Drain murder. Dorothy Drain was 15 years old when she was brutally murdered, and her sister Barbara saw the murder and she was knocked out and somehow survived. While looking for the suspect, they were looking at a nearby railroad when they found Joe Arity aimlessly walking around. Now, Joe Arity was mentally handicapped and had an IQ of 46. It's said that he really couldn't distinguish between different colors, and he didn't know the difference between an egg and a rock. During questioning, it was really easy for him to be coerced into admitting that he was the murderer. But the really messed up thing is everybody knew he wasn't guilty. All he enjoyed doing was playing with toy trains and just enjoying himself. He wouldn't even understand what he was doing, and it just doesn't make sense for it to be him, and everybody knew that, but nobody really stepped up to save him. Dorothy Drain's sister, Barbara, who miraculously survived the attack, even identified the killer as being Frank Aguilar, who was executed on August 13th, 1937. But even then, they accused Joe Arity. They believed that they were working together and did the murder as partners in crime. During his trials, 3 separate psychiatrists diagnosed him as being mentally handicapped and having an IQ of 46. And still, he was sentenced to death as an innocent man. He is described as being the happiest man on death row, and he was on death row in Canon City. Throughout his time on death row, he enjoyed polishing a dinner plate and talking to his reflection and playing with a toy train that Warden Roy Best gave him. Warden Roy Best was known for being really hard-headed and strict, but he had a huge soft spot for Joe Arity. He knew he was innocent and wanted to give him the best last moments that he could. The night before his execution, his mother and other family members visited him. His mother was breaking down in tears, but Joe didn't understand. He would just be smiling in his room and continuing with his daily playful activities. Warden Best would bring him some cigars and homemade candy to lighten up his spirits. He ended up eating so much candy that he got sick and would give that candy to the other inmates. He also decided to give his toy train to one of the other inmates. It is also described that Joe sat in the gas chamber happily smiling, not understanding that he was about to die, not understanding what these people were about to do to him and why. Joe Arity passed away on January 6, 1939, 5 months after the execution of the actual killer. And Joe wasn't pardoned until 2011. But those who cared about him pulled their money together to get him a real headstone instead of the little license plate grave markers that you see in the death row burials, like on Woodpecker Hill in the Greenwood Cemetery that we visited, which is where he is buried. I know both of these stories seem a little bit out of place, even though they're very much connected because of the Dorothy Drain murder. But let me start to put the pieces together for you and take you through how we put these pieces together ourselves. So during the investigation, we kept getting the name Donald, especially in the second part of the investigation.
Oh yeah,
And I'm not sure.
Donald.
Well, I feel so not okay in here.
Donald
is again.
We got
Abort. It literally said abort.
Ooh, there's footsteps,
what the heck? Whoever is like in this area.
Oh my god. That was right when I looked at the Donald is. So is Donald the one who keeps warning us then about stuff in the basement?
Maybe.
We got Donald.
Bullshit.
Eternal solitude. Wow.
Somebody never got at it. They had to stay in there forever.
So is that why?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Well, I think we're taking this in there.
Donald has a message.
Oh, Donald keeps talking to us.
We've got so much trouble.
Ooh. That was loud.
The voice is there. Donald, what's the message that you have for us before we head out? We got Donald time after time. We weren't entirely sure who Donald was until the next morning after the investigation. I was still asleep, and Mama Demon and Toni were in the kitchen and doing some research. They looked back at the execution list that's inside of the building that holds the gas chamber, and they saw on that list was Donald Fern, Alice Porter's murderer. So they decided to dig more into her story once I woke up, and the more we looked into it, the more everything started to add up. We got a lot of words about rain, about mud, and stuff like that. Puddle.
Ooh, I'm thinking puddle of blood.
View rain. It's not raining now, is it?
It's supposed to.
Drenched.
Earlier,
Earth.
it's talked about rain earlier.
Yeah.
And puddles.
Puddle. We got puddle a lot. Asked what she could do about the muddy footprints. I wonder if it sells what
They just growled in my ear.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, leave me behind, thank you.
No, it was like
I don't like it.
the cursed familiar.
It was way in my ear.
What did it tell you? Dollar, father, puddle.
Puddle. And about the muddy footprints. It is, it's really cold.
Bathroom.
We were just talking about the muddy in the men's bathroom. And that is a huge part of the story. But something that is absolutely bizarre, and I don't have the words to explain this to you guys, is when they were researching, they found a newspaper article I'll put up now. And it shows a picture of Alice. This is the exact person that I saw as an apparition when we were in the basement doing our investigation. Person you passed away. Oh my god.
Ruth.
I saw a woman right here. I'm not fucking around.
Oh my
There was like a full woman apparition right here. She has short, like black hair.
Ruth, is that you right here? That you just saw?
You know, I got Ruth upstairs.
Multiple times.
I am like covered in goosebumps. That was like the most clear.
What, Elijah?
That was like the most clear apparition right here.
Whoa.
Ruth, was that you?
I visit the store. You're whispering at the store.
I'm whispering at the store. Taylor's shop.
Watching it. No way.
I'm trying to find like correlations for things. Male prisoners working at the Taylor shop.
And
We were
she
right
said,
by
I
this.
will go, or she said something about I go to the shop.
Yeah, and whispering from the back of the shop or something like that.
This says we're watching you.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Encountering the apparition.
Encountering the apparition.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're literally there.
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm.
And that's where I saw, it's like, it keeps giving me confirmation too of the apparition that I saw in there. And then it's curious that we saw, or got the things about the shop, and where I saw her was in front of the sign about the Taylor shop.
Please help.
Please help? How can we help you? I saw the apparition of a young girl with short hair, and it startled me so much, but it was so freaking clear that the second that I saw her picture from the newspaper article, I don't have the words to describe it, but that is the person that I saw. My heart like literally sunk because I knew that I had seen her, and at the time, since we're in the Museum of Colorado Prisons, that was used as a women's penitentiary, even though the neighboring penitentiary held men and women. I basically assumed that the woman I saw was probably an inmate, since it was a women's prison. It just made sense. But at some point in the investigation, I start questioning if it could be somebody's victim instead of one of the inmates. Because, like, I don't know, Ruth could have been a prisoner here, but also it's like, could she also been a victim? And that just hit me like a bag of rocks when I saw her picture, because I saw her. Oh, what the hell? I swear to God, I just charged that to 100% and I've been filming for like 40 minutes. That's right when I'm getting all intense about this story. Okay, that's normal. That's probably fine, right? Okay, I'm gonna go plug that in real quick. Hold on. All right, sorry. Camera's in a different position because the light is plugged in over there. That was a little weird. It was just coincidence, probably. Probably, it's fine. Where was I? Yes, seeing her apparition, first of all, was crazy because it was one of, if not the most clear apparition that I've seen in my entire life. Everything. And so seeing her picture was surreal to me, because when you see an apparition like that, even doing this for as long as I have, it startles you in a sense, but being able to see who that person actually was after the fact is, I don't know, it was just a very interesting experience, and I think it's a huge part of why I've been so stuck on this case and needed to share this with you guys. And then also, the actual haunting itself at the museum is starting to make a lot more sense. A lot of people, including staff, talk about one of their main manifestations there as being muddy footprints. So they often get both bear and shoe footprint. They get... Sorry, my brain... But they talk about often finding muddy footprints, both barefoot and shoe prints. That's, you know what I mean. In like the showers, they'll find all these muddy prints everywhere. And I don't know that they ever knew why, but this whole case like makes sense. And the fact that both the cases inside the prison that we're starting to piece together intertwine, I don't know, this is just... I am obsessed with this case right now because I need to try to figure out all the pieces, and it's crazy how everything's unfolding. Anyways, having both the bear footprints and the shoe prints is kind of huge because he would have been walking around, not only the fact that the farmhouse had only dirt floors, they just came in from the rain, they're muddy, he gets stuck in the mud, so obviously he's gonna be muddy, but since she was naked, her footprints would be bare. So the fact that they find both the shoe prints and regular barefoot footprints, it's just bizarre. And the only thing that I can piece it to is this case. It just makes sense, you know what I mean? But also our guide had told us about some people that went to investigate, and I believe she said they caught a photo, or they either saw or got a photo, I can't completely remember, but they saw in the basement a young girl with dark hair naked running around. She was found nude, the muddy footprints. I don't know, I really believe that it was her. So many of the words and things that we got pertain to this case, to either Alice's story. Also, we got Margaret.
Margaret.
Like, Margaret is something that came through. Alice's best friend is Margaret. Like, everything just makes sense, you know? And there were a lot of things about the Joe Arity case, too. Not only the fact that they intertwine, but I believe when Mama Demon was under in Estes method, she got Addie, and I am wondering if it was someone saying Arity instead of Addie. I swear I keep
It's me.
something. Oh my gosh. I swear I keep seeing something right here.
Who are you?
Doorway.
Addie.
Is your name Addie?
Definitely getting a lot of names this time.
Innocent.
Do you feel like you were put in here and you were innocent of the crimes they charged you with?
I feel like really nauseous.
Addie, like, I don't know. That could be a reach, but I don't know. It seems like more than that. Not only have I been super stuck on this, but it's starting to bring up a lot of questions for me. Well, to start with, Alice didn't die at the Museum of Colorado Prisons. Her killer did. So it brings up this question for me of if a victim's soul could attach or get stuck to the person that kills them, or a murder weapon, or I'm not really sure. It's just a big question for me because she passed away in Pueblo, right? So could have she been stuck or attached to him until he came to Canyon City and was executed? Is she stuck with her killer in the afterlife? Or is Donald trying to show us what he did? Is it him that's manipulating these things to talk about what he did? Or is Alice stuck somehow with her killer? It's just bringing up a lot of questions for me. And at the same time, during all this research, I am so sorry, I'm going to start crying. I've been like, I've been bawling my eyes out about this case. Like, a young girl, she has her whole life ahead of her, all these dreams and aspirations. She's going to nursing school to help heal people, and it's just sick. And I know there's a lot of cases like this, but I feel really drawn to this one and drawn to Alice, and I worry that if she was stuck somehow to her killer, like, is she trapped with her killer in the afterlife? I'm sorry. Sorry. It just brings up those questions for me, and it makes me want to make a return. Like, I feel so strongly a need to go back to this location and soon, because if she's been trapped there with her killer all of these years, like, she could need help. Either way, I really want to go back here and try to put more pieces together. I did do a lot of research, and if there is anything I miss or was misled into from different sources or anything like that, I do always appreciate your guys' feedback or anything you might find. I do try really hard to find all the information that I can about all of these places and people, but I do appreciate the feedback as well, or you guys letting me know if there's something that I missed. Especially when it comes to this case, if there's anything that you guys end up finding, I would be really appreciative to know. Another thing that's just really interesting is the fact that he had carved symbols into her, and he was a part of that brotherhood who does a lot of like the mock crucifixion and stuff. But who knows, like, in a killer's mind, how they construe those types of things. And we got the word, like, sacrifice, and we got sacra res, and different words like that a lot.
Sacrifice.
Oh, sacrifice.
Get-
Kill.
Ooh, so that we could
Pierce.
understand. Pierce as in a name, Pierce? Or something was pierced.
Yeah.
6. 6.
6 again.
Steamy. Slice. Something.
See, where are you
Up.
at? Up. We keep getting up.
Sacrifice. Butcher.
Butcher.
Knife and butcher obviously
Oh.
could possibly go together.
Follow. Details.
Yeah, it keeps going up. Puncture.
Desk.
Desk.
We've got puncture many times.
It's a lot of repeating words where they're trying to make it seem like, hey, that's not
Wait and see.
random.
Wait and see.
Oh my gosh.
I'm waiting at the farm. Surface.
Waiting at the
Waiting at the farm.
And some darker and demonic leading things that it just brings up another question of if he was sacrificing her in a ritualistic way. Because of all the different methods of torture and then the fact that he branded symbols into her.
Wire. Design.
All that it says online that I can find is obscene symbols, which could mean anything. Like, are those symbols from the Brotherhood? Are they some satanic symbols? Because we got that E name that I won't say. Hear anything?
Eligos.
Elegance is here to hurt you.
Holy mother.
Oh my god.
But we got that. I don't know. There's just like so many random coincidences that it's starting to feel like all of it's not random, if that makes any sense. Now we have to talk about eggs and all the food items that we got, which was funny at the time, and it seemed really goofy, silly, whatever, haha, funny. I'm up to it easier.
Eggs.
Eggs?
Eggs
Eggs.
again.
Why do we keep getting eggs? Stairs, Tony.
Yep.
Shy mustard.
Shy mustard.
Finish. Weapon. Bacon.
Bacon.
Eggs.
Eggs. See?
Cake.
Cake. So now you want to talk about food again?
We got eggs and milk. Maybe they're giving us their ingredients list. Want us to make them a cake? Pie.
Eggs.
Eggs.
Plastic. Beans.
Beans? Is that what it said?
Attentive.
But if you think about it, a lot of the places we were getting the food items, except for eggs, that was kind of everywhere. But a lot of the places that we got the food item words over the devices was in the basement, and it would be when we walked past the isolation cells. Since the isolation cells and the kitchen are right across from each other, people in isolation could have been really fucking hungry, and so they're like calling out different food items.
How terrible, too, to be in solitary confinement right next to the kitchen.
I wonder if somebody was in solitary and the kitchen was right there, they could be like, hey, I want some eggs, like trying to taunt them to see if they would feed them.
That could be.
As like a request, like, hey, get me some eggs, get me some bacon, give me some cake. Like, I don't know, I'm hungry. I don't know. But in the isolation cells, people from death row also could be, so it could be them talking about their last meal, which, interesting enough, we got beer. Beer?
That was weird because it sounded like a horse beer.
And Donald Fern's last meal choice was steak and beer. Not sure if that's just coincidence or I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys. But one thing that seemed really funny and makes sense now is beans. Beans? Just made me laugh in the moment and it was funny. But now, someone who is on death row in Canon City in that gas chamber, their last meal choice was beans. I'll put the actual thing here so you can see that it's real and it exists. Once again, it's something I thought was funny in the moment, but they were in that isolation cell at one point and died in that very gas chamber. Their last meal choice was beans. So next we ended up getting a lot of things about wife. Somebody's wife or girlfriend, spouse. A lot of those words came up so many times. Girlfriend, spouse,
Spouse.
kill,
Did you kill your spouse?
Or the
I
girlfriend.
killed,
Ooh, I killed.
be faster,
Oh, that's like really bad.
goodbye,
Oh God.
wife.
What?
And then there's so many things about like a spouse, wife,
Thought. Violent.
violent.
Wife.
Wife.
Your wife.
Your wife.
Which is kind of uncertain because it could be Donald still talking about the fact that he left his wife behind while she was giving birth, mind you. But it could be him talking about the wife. And we got words about child, somebody's child getting hurt. So he could say that he hurt his kids by leaving them behind and his wife by leaving her behind while having a kid. Or he could be saying that he hurt somebody's kid, meaning Alice.
Yeah.
Kill,
Ooh.
student,
Student.
kids.
Are there kids here with us, or did you have kids of your own?
Hurt someone's kid,
Someone's kid is hurt?
girlfriend, spouse,
Spouse.
You said girlfriend and then spouse.
kill,
Kill.
Did you kill your spouse?
Or the
I
girlfriend.
killed,
Ooh, I killed.
You killed the spouse.
or there's a lot of ifs, but I'm just trying to piece it together. I'm sorry. When I was looking through all of the people who were executed here, I feel like almost a majority of them were men killing women. Their wives, and just, it was men hurting women. And it was so disturbing. Every single one that I would read, I'll put a video somewhere here, but you just see time after case after case of somebody hurting their wife, their girlfriend, their daughter. It makes me sick. And so them saying wife so many times could literally be any of them, because a majority of them brutally killed or hurt their wives or a woman. There's just so many pieces of this that make sense to the investigation, but I also just feel so stuck on, and I don't know why. It's like there's something I need to put together, or seriously, if Alice could be stuck to her killer, I want to help her. Like, this could be the first time that all of these pieces are really being understood about why this place is haunted. And it's just making me question everything. Like, how hauntings work in the place of a murder. Is it every time where that person is stuck? Just in general? Is it every time where the person is stuck in the place they're killed? Could they somehow be attached to their person? Since he was doing rituals and stuff, could he have done a ritual to bind their souls together? As silly as that sounds, maybe to you guys, I'm just trying to understand all of this. Her apparition that I saw and them just leading us to this case, like, is she stuck with him? And if so, I need to get her the out, you know what I mean? So once again, if you guys find out anything or have any advice, I would really appreciate it. I feel like I'm going crazy on this case, but I feel like there's a reason for me to be thinking about this case so much. I don't know. So this next random-ish piece to the puzzle, it could just be a coincidence, honestly, where I'm completely convinced that the Alice case is something I was meant to be led to, and a lot of things pertain to that, and it makes sense. This next thing could just be random. So we got Ruth a lot, right? And I thought that the apparition I saw could be Ruth because we had got her name so many times.
Nana. Nana.
Chart. It's so weird.
It's me.
Oh.
Can you tell us your name?
Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
Oh my God.
Ruth.
I saw a woman right here. I'm not fucking around. Well, during my research, I found a Ruth Virginia Nana Stimac who passed away earlier this year. So that brings up two words that we kept getting, Ruth and Nana, that we were both curious about. And her name says Ruth Virginia Nana Stimac. She passed away this year, and she was a very kind, loving lady who was a huge part of her community. She worked for years for the Humane Society, she taught Sunday school, and in her obituary and tribute, it's talked about how people remembered her and all the cute holidays and different memories with her, and specifically how they like to decorate Easter eggs with her. We got eggs a lot, we got Nana a lot, we got Ruth a lot. I don't know. And she passed away earlier this year. She was a huge part of the community in Canon City. So it could be her, it could not be her. It could just be coincidence, but I really wanted to find who Ruth was, and this is the best answer that I could find. Another definitely just coincidence is that her husband's name is Don. Another weird coincidence is that Donald Fern's mom's name is Alice. Everything just from this whole investigation, like there's a bunch of cases and somehow weird random pieces of them fit together in weird ways, and it's just mind me, if I'm honest. I have a lot of these moments with investigations where I do research beforehand, but then after the investigation is when like I really let what happened settle in. I'm like, well, why did this happen? Why did we get this word a lot or this name a lot? And that's when I really start to do my deep dive of my research, is like trying to explain my experiences of the investigation. And so I have a lot of these like notes of just deep diving post-investigation, and I thought I would share this one with you guys this time. If you end up liking this video, please let me know, and maybe I'll start to do deep dives on more of my investigations. I think it'd be cool. If you didn't like this type of video, also let me know. Be nice about it, please, or I'll cry. But I do appreciate the constructive criticism. But either way, next Sunday is going to be a brand new investigation for you guys to see. It is going to be one of the investigations in Atchison, Kansas, with Gio and Chris once again. It was a really awesome investigation, and I'm super excited for you guys to see this one. I'm going to be releasing a little bit of a teaser trailer this Wednesday like I've been doing, so you'll get a tiny little taste of what you're going to experience next Sunday. If you stuck around this far through the video, thank you guys so much for watching. I see all of you loyal people in my little community that I'm building, and a lot of you guys are returning viewers who I recognize time after time after time, and I want to let you know that I see you. So I just wanted to say that I'm so thankful for each and every single one of you, my beautiful Phantom fam. You guys are wonderful and terrific, and I love you so much. Please stay tuned for some really awesome videos coming up very soon, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Wait, stop, wait. Don't click away yet. Wait, please, wait, please. So if there's a day of the week that works better for you guys for a new video to come out on than Sunday, please let me know. I know a lot of the other paranormal channels like to release on Sundays, and due to my analytics, that's when most people are active, is around Sundays. But if collectively you guys have a specific day you like better, like a Friday maybe, then maybe I'll change around the release time to every Friday. But let me know, or if it doesn't matter at all either, also let me know. I just want to make sure that I'm making good content for you guys and it's coming out in a time when you best can view it. Anyways, thank you for listening to my crazy. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or night, and I will see you lovely mothers next Sunday. Bye!